You read or not, you're gonna grow. Whether you read, you will perish. Whether you don't read, then you're gonna bend under somebody. And Kunjunimash is a famous Indian poet. We mostly call as kids poet because of his small poems, which is very powerful, and he presented a lot of these kinds of poems to the future generations. And this project is a tribute to the poet Kunjunimash for the future generations. What his simple life, what his simple poems are. So this entire project started ringing up on the Kerala after his death when he passed away in 2006. There was this whole thing that we need a place for a memorial for poet Kunjunimash at his hometown, Valapad. But the major problem was what the site is all about. So it took 10 years for them to take a site, which is a 5 cents property. And what happened after that was another problem. The site is a wetland. And Kerala has a strict rule that you can't construct anything on the wetland. So they were actually slogging their heads, how can we do it? And that is when we entered into the project and we said that, okay, we could do something different from all the memorials. And the site is densely located in the Valapad region, which is full of vegetation, which is most of these trees, plants are actually grown by poet Kunjunimash itself. So this was a major, huge challenge. At the same time, it was a positive element also for this entire project. As you can see the site is situated on a densely vegetated area where almost 80% of the area is actually wetland, which is fully functional and it is naturally recharged also. So we decided the concept of retaining this wetland and doing this construction above this whole wetland. And this is the kind of vegetation which is having, you have a lot of trees which is actually giving shades to the site also. And then coming to the site study and adaptive part, what we decided, we are not gonna do anything on this wetland. We're gonna retain this whole wetland and we are gonna construct this entire project, this entire memorial above this wetland as a floating thing. And this is the schematic section, that how the structure is coming. And then the next is we wanted to construct, normally when you construct a building, there is always a thing called creating a compound wall. But as this is a very small site, and if you create a compound wall, that will actually affects the sculptural behavior of the project also. So we decided to take the compound wall inside to the project and create something like a sculpture wall, which actually acts as a landmark of the project, as well as like a curious element also. And so this is the other site features. The site is actually west facing, so the wind direction is from the southwest also. So we created all the smaller openings that starts from the southwest and create a free flowing air movement throughout the building. And mostly this sculpture wall actually creates a lot of shadows inside the memorial, that creates a lot of curiosity for the people who are coming in. And when we were thinking of a entrance part, we thought of giving a circular entrance that was a simple geometrical addition to that, and that creates a lot of curiosity for the people who comes in. And majorly this memorial is for the kids itself. So we wanted to create a lot of curious element in it. And while we are designing it, we actually studied a lot about what exactly this poet was. This project should be depicting what exactly the poet's life is about, what exactly his poems are all about. So the poet has a thing that every day he'll address some of his friends, some of his family members in the veranda, which is called as Pumugam. You could see it. So we wanted to create the same sort of space in the design also, that will create something like a common community space for everybody. And these are some of the sketches that we were trying to do. And also there is another challenge that we were having. This is actually densely situated in a residential area. So when we are putting a public building inside, it shouldn't affect the privacy of all the other people coming around. So we actually modulated the windows and everything in such a way that it doesn't affect the privacy of the adjacent neighborhoods also. And at the same time, the requirement was to construct a community space which has a community hall and a library. So it's just a 5 cents property where we only can build about 150 square meters of land, and creating a community space there, which is very challenging. So what we thought of creating a free flowing space on the ground floor, and we'll take the library into the first floor. So then the dirhams are
there comes our new this element which is called as Ennilude. We named it as Ennilude. So this is the plan that is having when you have Pumugam on the ground floor, then conference halls and toilet. The stair goes up, and this is the library, and this is the section. You can see the small this thing, and then these are the side elevations, and this is the side view how the building developed on the wetland with all the still construction and all. So these are the different elements, which is one is Pumukam, then the library space, there is this pond which we have retained, which is the wetland, then the staircase which is having all these jolly elements which is there, and the sculpture wall. The sculpture wall is another depiction of his poems, in which each jolly represents the word. And when we have incorporated kaleidoscope into it, when the people goes in, it creates a moment of this thing. So these are some of the photos which we have taken. This is the entrance portion. This is the circular arch and the Pumukam. And all these are the community interactions that is happening there. And this is the kaleidoscope. I mean, regardless of the age, people are actually interacting to it. And this is the library space. And this is the wetland. And not only the humans are actually interacting to the building, also all the animals like dogs, cats are also interacting. And this becomes a pacemaker of the community. We implemented this whole building in a point that the community is actually losing their interest in interactions and community gatherings, and this became a place which is a landmark for the entire community itself. Thank you.
വരുന്നതൊരാന, ഈ വരുന്നതൊരീച്ച, ആനയുമീറ്റയും അങ്ങനെയങ്ങനെ അടുത്തടുത്തു വരുന്നു. ആനയ്ക്കുണ്ടോ പേടി, ഈച്ചയ്ക്കുണ്ടോ പേടി, രണ്ടിനുമില്ലൊരു പേടി. ആന താഴെ പോയി, ഈച്ച മേലേ പോയി.
In the tranquil village of Alappad, embraced by the lush greenery of nature's bounty, lies a sacred site where Kunjunimasha's final journey finds its resting place. Here, amidst the gentle rhythms of village life, a memorial emerges not as a mere structure, but as a living, breathing tribute harmonizing with the timeless tales of Masha's legacy.
ഈ സ്മാരകം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരുപാട് നാളത്തെ സ്വപ്നമായിരുന്നു, സന്തോഷമായിരുന്നു ഈ സ്മാരകം. അത് ഈ കുട്ടികൾ അത് വളരെ ഭംഗിയായിട്ട് ഈ കെട്ടിടം നിർമ്മിച്ചു തന്നപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷം തോന്നി. സ്കൂളുകളിൽ നിന്ന് കുട്ടികൾ വരും, അവർ കുറച്ച് നേരം ഇവിടെ ഇരുന്ന് കഥകളൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് കളിച്ച് അങ്ങനെ അവർ തിരിച്ചു പോകും. പല സ്കൂളുകളിൽ നിന്നും കുട്ടികൾ വരാറുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ ഇവിടുത്തെ അന്തരീക്ഷം തന്നെ നമുക്ക് വന്നിരിക്കണവർക്കൊരു സന്തോഷം തന്നെയാണല്ലോ. ഞങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഇവിടെ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് വന്നിരിക്കും.
എൻ്റെ പേര് സൗമ്യ. ഞാനിവിടെ 2 വർഷത്തോളമായി കെയർടേക്കറായിട്ട് ഇവിടെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഞാൻ ആദ്യം തന്നെ ഈ ബിൽഡിങ് കണ്ടപ്പോൾ വ്യത്യസ്തമായൊരു ബിൽഡിംഗ് ആയിട്ടാണ് എനിക്ക് ഒരു അനുഭവം ഇവിടെ വന്നത്. ഈ ബിൽഡിങ്ങിൽ നമ്മൾ കുഞ്ഞുണ്ണി മാഷ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കുട്ടികളുടെ ഒരു മാഷാണ്. ഈ കെട്ടിടത്തിൽ താഴത്തെ ഫ്ലോറ് കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി ഹാളും മുകളിലത്തെ ലൈബ്രറിയാണ്. താഴത്തെ ഫ്ലോറിൽ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ കലാകാരന്മാരുടെ പുസ്തക പ്രകാശനം ഉണ്ടാവാറുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ സാഹിത്യപരമായ കാര്യങ്ങളും വയ്ക്കാറുണ്ട്. മുകളിൽ കുട്ടികൾ വന്ന് പുസ്തകം വായിച്ച്, പിന്നെ ലോക്കൽ ഏരിയക്കാരൻ പുസ്തകം ഇവിടെ തന്നെ കുട്ടികളിരുന്ന് വായിച്ച് ഇവിടെ തന്നെ അന്ന് തന്നെ കൊടുക്കും.
കുഞ്ഞുണ്ണി മാഷ് പറയുമായിരുന്നു, നമ്മൾക്ക് മതിൽക്കെട്ടുകൾ വേണ്ട, വേലികൾ, ചെമ്പരത്തി പൂക്കൾ കൊണ്ടുള്ള വേലികൾ മതി. ഇന്ന് കുഞ്ഞുണ്ണി മാഷ് സ്മാരകത്തിൻ്റെ യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് അവിടെ ചെല്ലുമ്പോഴും മാഷ് ഓർക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന രീതിയിൽ മാഷ ചിന്ത അനുസരിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സ്മാരകമാണ് അവിടെ ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കുന്നത്.
ഞാനിവിടെ ഇവിടെ വരാൻ തന്നെ കാരണം കുഞ്ഞുണ്ണി മാഷിൻ്റെ സാമീപ്യം ആഗ്രഹിച്ചിട്ടാണ്. എൻ്റെ 2 പുസ്തകങ്ങൾ തന്നെ പ്രകാശനം ചെയ്തത് കുഞ്ഞുണ്ണി മാഷ് ആ ഹാളിൽ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ്. വളരെയധികം ആൾക്കാർ പങ്കെടുത്തിരുന്നു. എന്ത് പരിപാടി അവിടെ നടന്നാലും ആൾക്കാർ ഇഷ്ടം പോലെ അവിടെ നിറയും. ആ ഹാള് നിറയും. മിനി ഹാളാണെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഐശ്വര്യമുണ്ട്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് അതിൻ്റെ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ എന്ന് പറയണത് പുറമെ നിന്ന് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ഞാൻ തന്നെ അത്ഭുതപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഈ തണ്ണീർത്തടം അവിടെ നിലനിർത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ബിൽഡിംഗ് അവിടെ വന്നതിൽ വളരെ എനിക്ക് അത്ഭുതം തോന്നിയത്. ഇതെങ്ങനെ സാധിച്ചെടുത്തു. അതിൻ്റെ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ പുറത്തുനിന്ന് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ വളരെ ആകർഷണീയമായിട്ടാണ് തോന്നുന്നത്. ചെറുതാണെങ്കിലും അതിനൊരു ഐശ്വര്യം ഇപ്പോഴും നിലനിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അത് അതിൻ്റെ നിർമ്മാണ ചാതുരി തന്നെയാണ്, സംശയമില്ല.
As simple as his life, as simple as his poems, this memorial stands tall, reflecting the deep impact of Kunjani Masha's words and
kindly move on to the Q&A session.
Memorial, right? And I believe Kunjani Mashi, he passed away, I think, almost 20 years. Yeah. And there was a time gap of almost 15 years till the project came on site. So I'm keen to know what kind of, because that's a significant time gap. What was the kind of research that you did on him before building a memorial? Because the memorial has to portray him.
Yeah.
And what were your sources of research?
Basically, one source was his poems only. I mean, he used to depict his poems on himself. The other things that we actually interviewed a lot of, his friends, the people who used to interact. I mean, what are the daily things that happens in his life? I mean, he's a very simple person. He actually himself devoted the entire thing for the humanity. So we wanted to depict, that's why we named it at Enilude, which is meaning called through me. I mean, the person who comes here has to understand like what exactly I am. I mean, what should be the, like a person who should be the humanity. So we did a lot of interviews and we did a lot of researches, and there is a biopic also. I mean, not biography on his name, which is also named as Enilude. So these are the major sources that we were able to understand what exactly this person was and how we can portray this person into the memorial. As a, I mean, I'll suggest more than this as a memorial, this is a community center, because he was the community epicenter for the entire time.
I think it's an extremely sensitive project. Two things that come to mind. You know, we've been there. First, we saw your report, you know, which was sent earlier, and then we went to the site, and now you've presented this. And this project has stayed with at least me in my mind for a long time, to dwell on the idea of what is the impetus that communities actually need to rejuvenate, remember, and go back to the memories of that community. And I think this opportunity to make this little gesture in favor of this lovely man comes as a very important exercise in placemaking from an architectural standpoint. That there is this guy who dedicated his life, and there is an opportunity to leave a placemark of sorts, which becomes a place around which the community gyrates. So I think at that level it works beautifully. The other question that comes to mind is the architecture itself, the nature of the wall. You have a certain texture within the community, and then suddenly you realize there is this big laterite wall, and then within that, framed within that, is the bust of this poet. The idea of a larger volume within which there is a modest subscale,
Yes.
where this person is, you know, his bust is placed. Those little gestures are very meaningful in trying to frame what you're trying to do. And actually visiting this from the back, I walked in to the community to see what it does from behind, and I think it kind of makes a reference to the edge of the street. From the back, it kind of becomes one with what is within. Yes. So I think that is how I explain this, interpret this project, and I think it's novel in a neighborhood which sees this kind of an architecture emerge, but it's something that will age and absorb itself over time. So I think it's a wonderful intervention that you have done.
Thank you, sir.
So this narrative that you've constructed, it's the process, but I also think in some ways you are celebrating not just the poet, but it's a celebration of architecture. And through that, you are providing a crucible where the community comes to celebrate, not just the poet, not the poems, but celebrating community. So I think that's what I have enjoyed in your whole process.
That's why we actually named it as the pacemaker of the community. As the memorial shapes the community and the community shapes the place that they are in. So this is an open place with regardless of religion, caste, politics, nothing is there. People just come there, sit, talk, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.